So do you worry about your preteen or your teenager experiencing anxiety, especially when they're in those social situations? Well, today I've got a strategy for you that's going to help with one of the fundamental fears that creates that anxiety. So let's check it out. Well, hello again, everyone. My name is Jim White, and I'm an author, coach, and the founder of the Family Enrichment Academy. And today I've got a strategy for you that's going to help your child, your teenager or preteen with social anxiety. But before we go there, I wanted to let you know I do have a free resource available for you as well. I have 10 things you need to stop doing as a parent, and then what you can do instead. And this is available at the website, so just go to familyenrichmentacademy.com and you can download this resource. You need to check this one out. So let's go back to our topic for today. We've got your teen or your preteen, and they just really struggle in those social situations. They experience anxiety, and they're just uncomfortable in those situations. Well, I'm going to point out that this is the result of a fundamental fear that we need to help them with. And that fundamental fear is the fear of not belonging or not feeling like they fit in. So the question is, what can you do to help them with this fundamental fear? Well, I'm going to suggest that if you can build or deepen your connection to your son or daughter, that's just going to help tremendously with regards to this fear. Because what happens is they take that connection with them. Again, it goes with them when they go out into the world. And so the stronger that connection, the better suited they are to be able, like I say, it puts up a line of defense, if you will, against that fear of not feeling like they belong or that they fit in. So what I'm going to recommend today is that you try to find a way to have a shared experience with your son or daughter. These shared experiences create a really tight connection. And I've got an example for you. It's a mother-daughter mud run. So this example was actually shared with me from a minister. I was doing an interview with a minister who happened to be in charge of the family ministry at his church. And he shared that his church, each summer, they do this mother-daughter mud run. And so the premise is that they set up an obstacle course at their church, and they have mothers and daughters sign up, and they come and they make their way through this obstacle course. And as the name implies, they've set up mud pits. That's part of the obstacles, right? They make their way up and over things and under other obstacles, but through the process, they become covered in mud. That's part of the deal. So you can imagine this is a very playful time, which being playful is a great way to build connection. And it's just a lot of fun for the mothers and daughters to go through this. But also at the same time, it's a chance to be a little bit vulnerable, right? When you're not all pretty and made up, you're just covered in mud. It's like I say, it's a chance to be a little bit vulnerable. So another great way to build connection. But here's the kicker. What he shared was, as the mothers and daughters finished the course, they'd set up these areas where they could go and spend a few minutes alone just together. And what the daughters don't know is that the mother has been instructed to write a letter to their daughter. In this letter, they prompted them, they gave them the first sentence to get them started. And the first sentence is something like this. I don't have it exactly, but it's something along these lines. It goes, "Right now, you are not beautiful in terms of the outside world. You're covered in mud, your hair's a mess, and you smell. But here are all the reasons why I think you are beautiful." And then mom, fills out the letter from there. And again, she's written this ahead of time and brought it with her. So mother and daughter finish the mud run. They go find their place to be together for a moment. And mom shares this letter with their daughter. She reads it to her. So you can imagine this is a moment. This is an emotional connection that happens there. And the interesting little visual that the minister shared that I just think points to what I'm talking about here is that he said that these letters become a handle that the daughters can hold on to when they go out into the world. Again, that visual of like a handle. So the daughter walks into the cafeteria at school and doesn't see any of her friends. She's still got a hold of that handle, which is that connection back to home. And it gives that sense that they are loved unconditionally. They have a place where they're loved unconditionally, which is just super powerful for the daughter. Again, it's something to take with them. The minister also shared they've done this for multiple years, and so some of these daughters are now at the point where they're off in college. And he had several of them say that they've come back and they've said they took that letter with them. And through that freshman year of college, whenever they would feel homesick or feel like they weren't fitting in, or they were a little bit depressed, they pull out that letter and read it, and it just helped to reconnect them to home. Again, it provided that handle that they needed at that moment. And so they said, they read that letter 100 times during their freshman year. So the whole point here is, how can you create one of these shared experiences, especially if you can do one that has a little bit of an emotional connection, where you can be a little bit vulnerable as well. Those are just great ways to build that connection with your preteen or teenager. And again, they take that with them when they go out into the world, which will help them to overcome that fear, or puts up a line of defense of that fear that they don't belong or that they don't fit in, which when you do that, it helps to reduce that anxiety that they experience in social situations, or in situations where they're going to be someplace new that they haven't been for a while. So there you have it. There's an idea for you, a way to put up a line of defense against that fear of not belonging or not fitting in. It's creating that anxiety for your preteen or your teenager. Well, before we sign off, I just want to remind you, I do have that free resource for you, those 10 things you need to stop doing as a parent and what you can do instead. So be sure to check that out at the website, FamilyEnrichmentAcademy.com. As always, it's truly an honor to be able to serve and support you as you move along your parenting journey. And it certainly is a journey. And I just want to acknowledge you for having that growth mindset. Being willing to open, to grow and develop as a parent. It's just going to be critical, especially as you move through these preteen and teenage years. Until next time, remember, a change in perspective changes everything.